Ready?
Ready.
Ready, set, go.
Whoa.
Welcome to episode 2 of Artist Unhinged. This time around, we have the one and only SuedeDragon.
Hello.
Hello. So this is a dear friend of mine, and I'm very grateful to be connected with him. We got connected through art. So I just wanted to put him on blast for a little bit and talk about his art. But first I need to light this Palo Santo. So you tell the audience about like your style, kind of what your style, what you like to grasp.
Okay. So my style, part of it, like the earliest part of it, I was like doodling in high school, so I call that abstract graffiti. It has more of like a somewhat like loosely structured but kind of like interesting line work, and as it develops, it'll turn into things. Like you'll turn it one way and there'll be like some eyes, another way you'll see a skull, another way you'll see like a figure of a woman or something like that. And sometimes it just forms. It's like not as intentional as you might think when you look at it. So that's one style. I started off pour painting, which was fun, but it's very just like a random effects type situation. Like you're never really sure in the beginning, like how it's going to turn out, if it's going to look really cool or if it's the colors are going to mix well together. That was before I knew anything about color theory.
When you're just experimenting?
Yeah, in that phase.
What kind of shapes did you find in your art?
So a lot of it would be like something I would think of like Egyptian hieroglyphics. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like intentional in the beginning, and now I have like a fascination with eyes and like kind of like a black and gold color palette, which I feel is very, very like that centered. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and then in another way, like an extremely textured, just chaotic smattering of acrylic paint, so many of those,
like this behind us,
like so this one is more like I love using blues. Like that's probably my best. Yeah, I'm gonna speak into the microphone.
We got this.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk to you about things.
Yeah.
Blue color. Yeah. So yeah, I use a lot of blue basically, but I started this painting at Summerfest gig last year, and I was so distracted that I really wasn't happy with it, because just like, making sure everything was good and just being the administrator type situation. But I revisited this after my uncle passed, and I really needed to release some emotion, and it did that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think even you said like you can kind of see before you even knew what it was from. You said you could see like, okay,
the emotion.
The emotion in it. So
do you feel like all of your paintings have some sort of emotion in it?
Yeah, for sure.
That's just kind of part of being an artist, and like pretty much the point of art is to look at something and have you feel something, right? Mm-hmm. Or spark something in you, or maybe think something, right?
Yeah, and it's the beautiful thing about abstract art is it's different for different people. Like they're gonna see something that they're meant to see, or they're going to turn it another way and see something else or whatever. So it's like the concept of whatever it is can be whatever you want it to be if that's what you see.
Yeah.
There are sometimes, but obviously I'll do something intentional like eyes, or one that I recently sold was like my first attempt at doing a figure of a woman that it turned out really good. Obviously enough to sell, so I was happy about that. Mm-hmm. Very happy.
That's always a plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are the styles so far.
Yeah.
So far. They're always evolving. I add something different to it. Like the very abstract style, I added skulls into one that I like glued on the canvas. So that was like another, like a mixed media type situation there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you notice that like on your art journey, you have these phases, like this month or these couple months is like really textured, and then I move into this phase, but you kind of always filter through the same phases of your styles? Or do you find new ones? Or are you starting to get like newer ones, you think?
They're getting just like edited a little bit. Like the more abstract won't be as chaotic. I like make more intentional, like I want a circle here, I want a triangle here, like more intentional things. Mm-hmm. but they're all just like evolution of the base styles, really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't want to put myself in a box of like I just do this. I feel like as an artist, you have to like go on that journey and see what you like doing.
Yeah, and you have to jump out of the box to do that.
Yeah, do oils, do watercolors, do melt down crayons into like interesting stuff. I've seen that.
Ooh, that's cool.
That's pretty cool. And
what's one thing that you were just like, no, I do not like to do that, painting wise?
There's nothing that I've like come to that I don't per se like. I tried like the alcohol inks, and it's not that I don't like it. It's just like not the kind of art I want to do. So I appreciate it and all that.
You don't like get that, like, what, I don't know, like after, like when I get a blank canvas and like I paint it, like I don't know what the word is. It's kind of like a high. I get kind of like this natural high, and then I feel like something released. It's like a release. Like, dang. Like, I just got laid, but through a painting.
Yeah,
like that.
Sometimes you get that euphoria. There are paintings that I do, and I'm just like, I was either too honed in on one thing, I didn't let it like flow as naturally.
Yeah.
Or it just, my issue is that sometimes one of my issues is that I overwork things.
Not knowing when to stop.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where like now I've been pivoting and trying to work on reining that in, of making things more intentional and like more organized chaos. Like that was the intention from the beginning, to get to that point, because so many paintings will just have raw emotion, and it won't be like, I could sell that.
Yeah. But you had to do it to release it, because
yes.
Is it therapy for you?
It's therapy for me. It's very much therapy for me.
And what started you? Like what was like the thing that you were like, oh, I have two questions. Okay, so like one, what introduced you to art? What got you started on your art journey? And then when was the point that you were like, I'm an artist? When you were like, I am an artist.
Okay, that point. I'll have to give the second question a little bit more thought.
For sure.
What was the first question?
This one time.
Yeah. But literally, like, what was the first question?
I'm having a hard time too.
Okay.
Okay, hold on a second. I don't know why my mind is blinking, because I know the question is right at the tip of my brain. What got you?
Oh, what got me into it?
Into art.
Yeah. So what got me into it? I got to a pretty like bad place in my drinking career, we'll call it, where it was like, before I was just more of a partier, and like I would like binge drink pretty much, like that was my thing. But I started like drinking by myself at home, and that was never me. And I reached a place where I would want to go out to like there's a bar by my house, and I would just go out, and it wasn't fun. I would have 9-10 beers and some shots or whatever, not remember shit, like wake up the next morning, like spent a whole bunch of money that I shouldn't have spent. So it reached like a higher frequency of that. So I started to like pull away, and I would quit for like 3 months or whatever and do something else. So during that time, I've always like had a loose interest in art, but I never really pursued it. Like, you do it in elementary school, you do it in middle school, and some of us, do it in high school. In high school, it was more like I was obsessed with tattoos, so I would doodle on my arms or doodle on my folders, and like the names of like metal bands and the rappers, and just random stuff like that, or designs. Some of the earlier abstract graffiti designs I just did on my arms, basically.
Yeah.
But it was at the point where I really wanted to focus on quitting drinking that I'm like, okay, like I feel so empty, and like I know I'm making the right choice, but I feel so empty. I need to fill it with something. And so like I ended up taking like an art therapy class that was just like a couple of like 3-4 appointments or whatever, and I was like, all right, like I enjoy this. So I started doing it more and more frequently, and it kind of set me on a journey of like, okay, so if I can't drink to deal with things, which is an unhealthy way, because you don't fix shit. You might forget it for a little bit, but you're not fixing anything.
It's actually gonna make it more intense, because you're suppressing it. It's anything that you suppress down grows, and and then you're putting more of like the substance, which makes you more imbalanced, which makes you more depressed. Yeah.
So at at that point, I was like, this is a healthy release, and I wasn't worried about what it looked like at all. I wasn't worried about structure. I wasn't worried about it looking cool. Like, in the first 7 or 8 months of it, it was just about getting it out and having it be a healthy thing. And, like, you'd be amazed, like, you know, not saying everybody should quit drinking, but those that know you have a problem when you quit drinking, you have this money. You're like, what was I doing
Right?
before? Like, I have money to, like, whatever. So I would, you know, I spent a fraction of what I would spend out on a night drinking on canvases and paint, and, you know, started learning how to deal with shit in a healthy way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you feel like the art healed you?
Oh, 100%.
And it's continuing to heal you?
100%.
Because healing, it takes forever, right?
It
We
does.
spend our whole life.
It does.
Yeah.
Like, as you encounter different situations in your life, you like, the way you react to them sometimes teaches you something you didn't know about yourself, or, like,
And if
I want to approach this a different way. I didn't see this before, but now that I have had a sober-ish brain for 5 years, you know what I mean? It's like you think more critically.
Yeah, and you can actually work through it and find a solution because you are sober, and you have to face it, 'cause, you know, rather than running to something, whether it be a substance or a person or whatever, because you're never going to heal or deal with the solution. You're just distracting yourself. And, you know, so yeah, I think that's really awesome that you have been able to do that. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And, like, honestly, it's just my hope that, like, through what I do, and expressing myself, and, you know, the people that appreciate it, that I can, like, have a positive effect on people after, like, being so selfish for most of my life. It's not like I was out here being a complete asshole.
Yeah.
But, like, I know I could have been better in certain situations.
Maybe
and
more empathetic, or some this or that.
or handled things differently, and,
Yeah.
like, not been a drunk ass about shit, you know? Yeah. So, like, what I want now is, like, to tell people about, like, the change I was able to make, and, like, encourage you if that's something you know you need to do it.
Yeah.
You know, find an avenue. It doesn't need to be art. It could be freestyling.
Could be running.
Making music. It could
Could be
be
yoga. Literally anything.
dancing. I mean,
Dancing,
like, whatever way
beatboxing.
that you want to express yourself, of, like, expressing
The emotion.
through whatever.
Yeah.
And like, expressing it
Instead
in a healthy
of
way.
because we've been taught since we were young to repress our emotions. Don't cry. You know, like, be a man. Like, all of that stuff. We've been taught that emotions are what make us weak. And we are human beings. Unless you know, are maybe sociopathic or whatever, like, you have emotions. And we're supposed to feel our emotions. And you either repress them or you express them. And when you express them, you're able to release it, but you're also able to connect with people and be like, yo, you feel this way too? You know?
Right.
Like, oh, dang, like, I'm not as fucked up as I think I am.
And that's how, like, I always try to inject some of those feelings, no matter if they're not, like, positive, into my art, where it's like, you'll see some of it and it has, like, a very dark feel to it. It's like, well, I was going through a dark section of my mind where, like, I remember some dumb shit that I did, or, you know, something I regret, and it's like, well, I gotta handle it somehow, you know? So it's not always, like, my intention to make the most beautiful art or, like, the most appealing art, but to just have it be
Real.
real, like a real expression of me. And if it turns out being the most beautiful thing you ever seen, dope.
Yeah.
Like, cool. But if it doesn't, it's for me.
Yeah.
It can be for you if you want it to be for you.
And sometimes it will resonate with someone. Oh my God, I felt that.
But it is very much for me.
Yeah. As it should be. Do art about it.